Here we go. Time for another sprint zone. This one's for 10/22/2024. And here's a nice shot, a little jocularity here. We see the legend Matthew Michaels there next to Mike Weeda. Got Curtis back there in the red and a bunch of other people. And this is a nice shot of what happens before the sprint zone. I'd like to take this time to thank Matthew for his telemetry. And we have his 30-second power up top next to mine. And below we have the instantaneous watts. And you'll notice that we're both like sitting in there, but it is kind of amazing that there's quite a difference in how much power is needed to push the big engine. And life is good here. So we'll just fast forward a little bit because there's a lot of like drudgery going on, a little bit closer to the actual sprint zone. People are still relaxed. Got a car behind us there being respectful, which is nice. And we'll kind of just jump here a little bit further ahead, more of the same, not much changing. And now we head into the corner. Not much has happened. Heart rate's reasonable. Wattage is good. And it is actually a pretty good crew today. This was the day that the parking lot was closed. So I started out with like 7 of us, and then we picked up more, and we picked up more, and we're picking up more now. And it is back to a full contingent for the party. Making the corner there, not too much lethargy, everyone just sitting back there, and there's a good shot of the big man, the legend there, up front. And look who was waiting, Byron Bessable in the blue. And no one wants to do anything. People were just kind of like, whatever, let somebody else come to the front. And there were some of those folks like John Lawyer there waiting at the corner. His heart rate was probably a lot lower. Anything that lessens the amount of lactic acid and, glycogen needs. I don't want to say it's cheating, but, we sometimes work on our way up County Road 5. In any case, the season is over. Everyone's had a pretty successful career with their racing. Byron there just smiling, happy, promoting the in-cycle people. And let's take a look at how nice that kit fits him. I mean, that's good aerodynamics there. A lot of kits don't fit that well. And early on in this group, people were wearing any old kind of thing. Mountain bike helmets with visors, baggy shorts, hybrid bikes. And then, of course, as things got a little faster, But back to the action. And I'm sitting behind Byron, and, Byron's no slouch. Look at my 30-second power, 244. Instantaneous. So we're already beginning to work. And myself being in second position, I am already suffering as my heart rate's up to 64, which is about my threshold, and we haven't even crested the hill yet. And I was thinking to myself, I'd run the day before or whatever, and I'm like, I'm not feeling it. I don't want to be here, but I don't want to be back and gapped off too. So maybe it's better to be up here and suffer a little bit as we get a good shot of the big man there riding that climbing bike. Smooth form, happy to be up there. And everybody else is in tow. We got Jonathan Day back there. We got JC. And I think we have 3 J's, 3 Johns. John C, John B, and John D. Yeah, maybe that's evidence that the universe is, in fact, a simulation. But I ramble. Good shot of the pack back there. Everyone's just in tow. Very happy. We see Ilka on the gravel bike back there. Everyone's in tow. No selection yet, despite the fact that good power is being bled off. And, of course, with this little bit of a descent, my power, at least 30-second, has gone down. And Byron in the aero position, not looking for any help, happy to drag people along. Oh, and it looks like there has been a slight selection, somebody way off the back there. And maybe I'm not surprised, as indeed the group is no joke, with the handful of the heads of state leading things. And here we go. JC, going to help out the big man here. And this is some benevolence. There are some groups that they attack, even though this is a zone, but there's honor in JC because he wants to ride people off the wheel. Keep the tempo high, get a little bit of work in. And there is a little bit of a headwind today, slight bit and slight wind off of our right shoulder, which is why you see the slight echelon there. Looks like everyone is pretty much obeying the rules of engagement, although I can't really see there. Someone is pushing the boundary of that. People still looking pretty strong. And good shot of the legend Matthew Michaels there and his power compared to mine. Yes, a little bit of coast here. And no one is looking forward to come forward until the big man decides it's his time to show his strength. And he comes forward once again, doing his turn. Having most of the supers up front, and Steve comes to the front there, and things definitely hot up. And look at Matthew's instantaneous power. It hit over 800 when he made that pass. And now look at his instantaneous power, 470, 500, 30-second power above 400. As even mine begins to creep up, my 30-second 240. So this is no picnic here. And everyone is pretty close. Everyone is tight. And I'm thinking to myself, there's good draft here, but it's not great draft. It's not quite the same as having a lot more people in front of you. And already my heart rate 171, and I can tell that is over my threshold, and it is just sheer will and determination that's actually keeping me in here, looking for any bit of respite and knowing that little punchy climb is coming. Got Jonathan there, Danny there, the Rio versus the FCCT. And then we got the breakaway people here. Many, many, many teams represented here. Matthew in the old school racing kit. And this is no longer a ride of people that have had no experience. Lots of experience up front. And some people missed out on their calling. And that is you, JC, up front. Too bad your career does not allow you to race. Or had we a time machine, because I have no doubt that you could have been Cat 1 or a pro if that was so desired. In any case, many people find their calling late in life, but better to find your calling than to never find your calling. And here's this punchy little climb that everyone wants a little bit of respite before they hit this. And I'm taking the opportunity to sag back a little bit, and you can see my heart rate has recovered into the 169s. And look, there is still a gravel bike with us. And I seem to remember the old days, Ilka on the gravel bike. I don't want any part of the Tuesday ride. I don't want to be up in there. But what has happened? What has happened? Things change, I guess. And perhaps the group is perceived to be a little bit safer with many of the heads of state with so many years of experience. So I'm drifting back here slowly, and then I find myself behind John Bradley, or JB, as we should say. And I'm like, I'm kind of hurting now, so I don't want to force myself up in there, and there's a reasonably good draft. But my fear is that he's the one person that's going to be gapping me off. Curtis looking strong back there. Oh, yeah, and we've dispatched the gravel bike, and I feel a lot better. Not because, I want to get rid of Ilka, but, as a testimony to the strength of the group, it looks wrong to have a gravel bike unless you're a super up there. And people still strung out. Matthew's power, yes, he's coasting back from the front a little bit. Mine coasting a little bit, trying to get some rest, but heart rate still at 172. And things are not hotting down, but they're not quite hotting up either. Byron comes off the front, and it looks like the big man. Is it Matthew Michaels going to the front? Must be a little coasting in here. His power's not there, but yeah, there we go. There's big power as there's little bits of surges as we come to this little bit of a rise here. Everybody's still in contention, and the only one I fear right now in front of me is maybe JB gapping me off here. Not that I'm going to have much either. But here we go. Looks like Mr. Rita coming from the rear. Someone who has not done much. And here, these are folks recognize that this is a little selection point as my power creeps up into the 300s for this little surge. That might have been courtesy of Mr. Kennedy up there, a gentleman who's not shying away from work and representing the breakaway squad at the pointy end of the stick. Marcelo slotting in front of me. He was out there in the wind a little bit, and now I've got plenty of draft. Too bad I just need a little bit more recovery. Jim Allman at the back. Normally, he's one of the bigger players. Normally, he's hungry to be near the front. And I'm not quite certain why he is back so far. But at this stage of the game, it is difficult to move up. And positioning is, in fact, critical. Looks like there's the elbow from Mr. Kennedy. And people come through on the correct side this time. As there is organization at the front. Everyone working hard. And people are being pushed to their limits. You can see as some of the form starts to fall apart among some people. Mr. Kennedy coming back through and sagging back slowly after his turn at the front, looking for some spot to get a little bit of shelter. Looks like JC at the front working hard, keeping everybody honest. And my wattage, 30 seconds, yeah, above my FTP. As it looks like Mr. Almond is perhaps being separated. Perhaps that little bit of an acceleration was too much. And here it is go time. People go, and here we go. I'm trying to keep them in, and I see, oh, this is where Mr. Bradley kind of gaps me off, and I'm trying to go around. But, you know, there's a lot of wind to be pushed out there. And the way these guys are hitting it and looking at Matthew's power, 600 and plus watts for 30 seconds. You know it's no joke. And he was just in the draft. And at this point, I find myself, you know, finally catching some of the rabble. You know, there's JC. There's thank you for your service, sir. Nicely done. Well done, Mr. Kennedy. Well done for everybody who did work at the front, keeping everybody honest. Yep. Nice work there. JB comes through at the end, pushing strongly through at the end. At this point, I'm like, okay, my heart rate's like way up there. And at the time, I'm not looking at this, but I can feel that I'm on the edge. So this is my point to try to recover here. No sense in pushing to get 15th place. I worked hard. And really, that's all that's important there, you know, because if you're not pushed to the limit here, if you're not doing everything you can, you didn't get out of the sprint zone what you could have, regardless of how you finished. And a good time, indeed, was had by all. Bummer Scott Polio wasn't here. We kind of missed his footage, but at least this time I was close enough to at least see something that happened. And let's see, can we see the first person who turned around here? Oh, that looks like Greg. I don't think he was actually part of it here. Mr. Lawyer, Byron, somebody. Not certain who won, but, you know, that is really not what's important here is actually winning. Although there is honor in that, and it is nice for the audience to see who won that one. So people can make comments and say, yeah, it was so-and-so, just in case, you know, people want to not be kept in suspense as to who, in fact, won that one. And a good time was had by all. Peace out. Until next time.